We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin. And today, Faith Blacklights, we take a look at this. And what this is from the San Diego Pepper Company, it is 805 heat. And I guess 805 must be an area code over there. This looks, to me, I would say more Hawaii than San Diego, but I guess there's palm trees in California. A fiery habanero and a touch of sweetness hot sauce. So there's a little bit of a story to this. Check out the written review. The link to which is down in the description on the old blog if you're interested in that. They don't take their name lightly. What? Okay, some community stuff. You know what? Good on them. Good on them. You know, I feel like we should do that. I feel like it's good for us to support our communities, local, and you know, I'd say to a degree national as well. All right, so let's jump into this. You can see it's I really like the color of this sauce. This was it's one of my favorite things about it. And here it is. Look at this. It's just this gorgeous, beautiful magenta. Probably about a medium thick sauce, I would say. Tending towards orange, just a touch towards the edges right there. Yeah, I think it looks super, super nice. Very, very good looking sauce. And I didn't go through the ingredients yet, did I? I guess apparently I'm just going to change up how I'm doing this, which I didn't mean to do, but apparently I'm absent-minded. Not the only video that's happened in. Certainly. So we have apple cider vinegar. We have a brown sugar, habanero. We have garlic, mustard, and salt. So, a very curious combination to me of adding the mustard in there. And I will tell you emphatically, I wish there was a different vinegar in there. But we can get into all that after we try it out solo, which we'll do right now. It's very thick. It's almost a little gritty even. I like the idea of the brown sugar and habanero together. But this, we have so many weird flavors kind of competing here. The apple cider vinegar, I think, was not a good move. That's adding a lot of elements to this. Mustard and garlic are sort of there. It's just, this one is definitely more a cohesive whole, for better or worse, than it is for being able to pick out little pieces and parts that comprise the sauce itself. It's a sauce that I'm liking the taste of it by itself, or when it's more prominent, less and less as it goes on. I mean, I whipped through about half the bottle at this point playing with it. And I think it's okay when it's with stronger tasting stuff where it can kind of melt a little bit. But this is not a sauce that, to me, works particularly well as, say, a dipping sauce for instance, or on pizza. It's kind of a thing where you have to put it in with stuff and kind of have it amalgamate and blend in with the other flavors. And it is thick enough that if you try to put it on chicken strips, it will just sit there. It'll sit there and think about what it's done. But while it's doing that, it's not going to mesh with the food. So, all right. So I got to thinking, back in the days when it would take almost inedibility for me to throw out sauces. So a long time ago now at this point. I went through every single one of these Maruchan flavors here. And the chicken ones to me were the ones that came out best. But this was my favorite of the time, which is this sort of creamy chicken. And I stumbled across this at the store the other day. And every once in a while, I'll go back and check in with the foods from my past in the much tighter, leaner years. Just to see, kind of like visiting old friends, see how they're holding up. And you could get, you know, these I think were, at one time, I think you get like 10 packs of these for $1. These I think I got, I'll say it's either a quarter or 40 cents, something like that. What's interesting is they changed the noodles. They used to have these thick noodles. These are a lot thinner now. So by now, if you go to any of the other ramen videos, you can kind of see how I do ramen. This time, we're gonna, since we're not, the ramen's not the star, we'll be sans close up. And you can just observe here. So what we do is we pour this in here. Soup base, pour in some hot sauce. Ooh, that's maybe the flow characteristics of these is really quite strange. And I actually put more hot sauce in there than I would normally. But now I'm gonna go throw just a little bit of water in there. We're gonna let it cook for 4 minutes, sit for 5, and we'll be back. All right, and we're back. All nice and cooked up here. A little bit too much water in it. A little bit too much sauce. Just like the old times. We used to get these styrofoam cups. And you could pack the noodles in easier. And then you just cover it. Just barely cover the noodles with water. And that was the way to have it. After you let it sit, it would swell up near the, not over, as long as you didn't put tons of water in it, it would swell up near the top. That's where you could tell they were done. And they'd be all mushy, and I mean, they were cheap back then too. There's a slight bit more chew to these. But yeah, the creamy chicken was the flavor I got most of the time. And occasionally I get the regular chicken as well, just to kind of change things up a little bit. But maybe once in a while the shrimp as well. Until I started hanging out with some people that would go to the Vietnamese stores, and they would get, their ramen would come with oil packets and chili oil and stuff. Those are pretty good. The Maruchan Nissins The only way they were really edible was with hot sauce. This kind of reminds me of those days. And I'm well pleased to not be in them anymore. This, I wish I wouldn't have put as much sauce in there because the sweetness is kind of throwing this, but this does do pretty well with the cheap ramen. I couldn't find a lot of other places I wanted to have it though. It's kind of the issue I'm having with this one. And I don't eat. I mean, I essentially ran into those and thought, I was having a hot over what am I going to do content-wise for this sauce. It just didn't want to go with things the way I wanted it to, And I stumbled on those, which is the first time I've had it in years. Many, many years. So if you want a sauce for soups, this is probably a pretty good one. I think it'll work pretty well. Because it's not like what's weird is that the vinegar doesn't really make the sauce astringent. It just contributes the foot flavor to stuff, So it's almost contributing more flavor-wise than it does astringency-wise, which is interesting. Not what I call a super astringent sauce. And sugar, the little hint of sweetness in here, I don't dislike. But I've tried this on everything I can think of. Tacos, all kinds of stuff, and it's always this sauce by itself and then the food, unless you put it in something like this. Where there's no choice but for it to integrate. All right, that's it for the noodles. Here's what the broth looks like. If you're interested, I don't know if you can see that. You see that? I'm not gonna spill it showing you. It's a sort of a sand, sort of pale, light tan kind of color. Kind of like camel hair, I guess. Okay, well, I get excited when I see new pepper companies I haven't heard of before, and they have sauces I'm interested in, and it has components that I can try. There's still kind of a thrill for me in that, even if it's like this one, it just isn't, just not to my taste particularly. I whipped through 3/5 of this. It's not bad where I want to bin it. It's not bad like that. It just isn't. It just isn't resonant to me in a place where I want to use it on stuff, particularly unless like I said, something like that, or maybe in a chili, like a component dish, where it can be cooked in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'll look around for some of their other stuff, but I can't say that I found this, honestly, especially impressive. So I'm, and part of it's I'm not really sure where they're trying to go with this. It looks like they have the heat scale all the way up. This sauce is a 1 in terms of heat. It is not challenging, particularly on any level, I don't think. If you like apple cider vinegar as a flavor, much more than I do, which would be at all, then this might be something that you might be more interested in taking a whack at. But for me, what I think is going to happen with this is I'm going to put it in the fridge because it's not a sauce that I find offensive enough that I want to just toss. But I probably won't use it a whole lot between now and the end of the year. And I think probably when I do my when I do the sauce exodus at the end of the year, then it probably will not be surviving into 2025. If I had to guess, I might wind up using it all, just depending on if I find something else that I like using it with. So I could be wrong on that, but that seems to me probably the likely course of action here. So I think conceptually there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and I kind of like where they were going. Just that's the wrong vinegar for me anyway. That is completely the wrong vinegar to be trying to use here with us. It just there's too many off flavors, just kind of in this pitch struggle, and it does come into a cohesive whole, but it's a cohesive whole that if you don't like it, it just makes this sauce kind of hard to use. And I don't dislike it, but I can't say I like it either. It's kind of this weird middle ground, I guess, and we'll just leave it there. So that was the San Diego Pepper Company's 805 Heat Hot Sauce. Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.